Hello everybody, today we are going to solve paper 2 multiple choice examination question paper February-March 2026. So let us start. The first question, he told you growth is a characteristic feature of living organism. Which process provide the energy for growth? Well, the process that provide energy for growth is respiration. And we know that respiration, it involves metabolic reactions for the whole body parts, right? So it provide energy by breaking down glucose, providing you with energy, okay? Of course, it cannot be excretion because it is removal of toxic substances. Movement is an action or part of an organism, so no. Sensitivity, ability to detect any change in the environment, so also no. So only C is the right option. Question 2. The diagram shows an arthropod, okay, with two pairs of antennae. Which group of arthropods have two pairs of antennae? Well, that will be the crustaceans. And easily you just can refer to your notes. When I say arthropods and refer to crustaceans, I refer to the crustaceans because they has two pairs of antenna, and as you can see here, two set of antenna according to your notes. So basically arthropods are from the crustaceans, and here is a diagram for you guys so that you can understood it and memorize if you didn't even memorize it before. Now moving on to the next question number 3. The diagram shows a Palisade mesophyll cell from a green leaf, okay? And now it's telling you in which labeled part does photosynthesis occur and where are chromosomes found. Well, photosynthesis, as we know, occurs in the chloroplast, which is labeled Y, and chromosomes are found in the nucleus. And in a previous question paper for paper 2 October-November variant 1, I solved a question which was similar. He told you where are chromosomes found, and well, the chromosomes are found in the nucleus. Chromosomes are found where? Well, it is in the nucleus. Moving on to the next question. So the answer is D. Question number 4. Diagram shows images of 4 organisms. The magnification and body length of each image is shown. Which organism has the longest actual body length? Okay, so in order to find this, you need to find it through the formula, which is IM, the formula of magnification. So A is equal to image length divided by the magnification. So in this question, he told you that this insect or this type of organism has 60 millimeter of actual length. Okay, it has what? It has 60 millimeter of an image length, and you need to find the actual length. So basically I had calculated it for you guys, and I gave you the way to calculate it. So basically you will get that A equal to I, which is the image length divided by magnification. And in order for you guys to do it, you have 60 divided by 2 is 30 millimeter, 28 divided by 1 is 28, and 75 divided by 1.5 is 50, 200 divided by 100 is 2. So basically the largest actual body length or longest actual body length is letter D, which is 50 millimeters. Now moving on to question number 5. He told you here in question number 5 that a plant cell was immersed in a concentrated solution and it became what? It became plasmolized. In which diagram shows the plasmolized cell? Of course it's letter D, because as we can see in this figure of letter D, we can see that the cell is detached from the cell wall. The cytoplasm itself is detached from what? From the cell wall. Now, which is an example of active transport? He's telling you here absorption of nitrate ions from the soil. Of course, we have seen this a lot in the past papers, even in the May-June 2025 question papers, paper 2, you have seen this a lot actually. And now evaporation of water, it's a passive process, like evaporation occurs due to temperature or due to heat, but nothing like due to an active or energy requiring process. Movement of oxygen is by diffusion, which is a passive process. Movement of water is by osmosis, which is also a passive process. Now moving on to the next question. Of course, you can read it. Question number 7. Which biological molecule is shown in the diagram? So basically, this is a DNA. And how did I know that it is a DNA? Basically, it has adenine, thymine, cytosine, guanine. And we know that adenine, thymine, cytosine, guanine are the base pairs that make up a single strand in a DNA. So as we know that a DNA is double stranded, so basically it's a DNA. Protein, it does not have amino acid. Starch, it does not have glucose. So basically it's only DNA. Now question number 8 is telling you here the graph showed the activity of an enzyme. What does the graph show about the activity of this enzyme? We can see that this enzyme is most active in acidic conditions, as you can see from the graph, that the peak is at 3.5, and as we know that 3.5 is acidic pH. It has a lower pH, and it meets a peak enzyme activity. So basically letter B is right. Now question number 9 is telling you a student investigated the rate of photosynthesis in tomato plants. He's telling you which factor does the graph indicate is limiting rate of photosynthesis at X. Well, at X it is the light intensity, because looking into the X-axis, as long as the graph is increasing and the rate of photosynthesis is increasing, of course the light intensity, which is on the X-axis, will be the limiting factor on spot X, basically. So if in case the examiner had twisted the question and he told you that the question is here, well, the answer will be it will not be light intensity, it will be either carbon dioxide concentration or temperature, but it is not the case in this question, so the answer will be letter B. Question 10. He told you here which row shows the uses of some carbohydrates in plants. Well, the answer will be here. For glucose, of course, it is respiration. For starch, it is energy storage. And for sucrose, it's transport. And to remember how it was transported, it was by translocation, as I mentioned on the right side of the question. Question number 11. He told you here a child decided to eat only meat, only fish, cheese, bread, and drink only water. Which nutrient would be in low levels in this diet? Of course, vitamin C. And as you can see, the child did not decide to eat any citrus fruits or any vitamin C providing food, which the most suitable case are, like, for example, oranges, lemons, grapefruit, as it's mentioned here in the image on the right side of the question number 11. So of course, basically the answer will be vitamin C. Question 12. He told you where in the alimentary canal do the enzyme pepsin, trypsin, and maltase act. Well, pepsin will be in the stomach at pH 2, trypsin will be in the duodenum of the small intestine at pH 8, maltase will be in the small intestine too, actually working there. Why the answer is not mouse? Because basically mouth, you need amylase, not maltase. It's different. You need what? You need amylase in the mouth. But in this question, he told you maltase. So the answer will be letter C. Now, question number 13. And as I mentioned here for you, so that you can study it if you don't know it. Now, question number 13, he told you a decrease in which factor normally causes transpiration to increase. Well, it's letter A, which is humidity. And as we can see from the figure, now basically when the humidity decreases, okay, transpiration increases, because basically there are less water molecules surrounding the leaf. So now just let me erase this. Now when I'm erasing these water molecules, I'm having a gate. I'm opening a wider gate for more water vapor molecules to evaporate from the surface of the leaf to escape the leaf and get out of the leaf to the surrounding air. So basically a decrease in humidity will have me this job done. Question 14. What is an advantage of a double circulatory system in mammals? So basically in mammals, the advantage that you have your oxygenated blood and your deoxygenated blood separated. You have them separated, meaning that they will not mix, meaning that you have an efficient exchange of blood and efficient exchange of carbon dioxide and oxygen in the lungs. So basically question number 14 will have the answer letter D. Question 15. Atria and ventricles are chambers in the heart. He's telling you which statement describes relative thickness of the muscle walls of these chambers. Basically, the answer will be 2 and 3. Why not 1? Because he's telling you the wall of atria is thicker. And well, this is a wrong information. Wall of atria is thinner, and wall of ventricles is thicker. Okay? So the answer will be here letter C, 2 and 3. Now, question number 16. Which row shows how white blood cells help to defend the body against the pathogens? Well, antibody production, of course, antibody production. Blood clotting, no. Phagocytosis, of course. Actually, blood clotting can be a correct option in only one case. If he told you how to prevent the pathogens entering your body, well, blood clotting will be a right option, because basically when you have a blood clot on your skin, you prevent any germs, any pathogens, any bacteria from entering into your bloodstream. So in that case, it would be a correct option. But for this question number 16, the answer will only be letter C. Now question 17. The cholera bacterium produces a toxin that causes the secretion of chloride ions into the small intestine. It's telling you which statement describes the consequence of this. Well, the water potential in the small intestine decreases, so water moves into the small intestine. And as you can see here, this gut labeled here, I labeled this drawing for you guys so that you can understand. As you can see, the gut, which is also known as the small intestine, when the water from the blood vessels are moving out of the blood, water is moving out of the blood vessels into the small intestine. So more water is lost from the body by this process, which is the diarrhea. Okay, so this causes the body to dehydrate. And now this is the same idea of the question, just had it for you a diagram so that you can understand and imagine it. The water potential in the small intestine decreases. Why it decreases? Because as you can know, there are more chloride ions moving from your blood into your small intestine, increasing. So basically water will move into the small intestine easily. Question number 18 is telling you which cells protect the lungs from pathogens by secreting mucus. Of course, it is the goblet cells. Goblet cells produces a mucus. Ciliated cells move the mucus. Lymphocyte does not have anything to do with the mucus. Memory cells are only used in antibody production during active immunity, which is not the case. So basically, ciliated cells will be wrong, C will be wrong, D will be wrong. Only the right option, which is letter B. Now, question number 19 is telling you here which row describes anaerobic respiration in humans. Well, anaerobic respiration in humans, just look at that formula and you will understood it. You have glucose here being respired anaerobically, producing what? Reducing carbon dioxide. And while carbon dioxide be reduced, well, that will be incorrect because lactic acid is the one that is produced. Just don't get tricked by this, because I see it and repeated it on like many papers, 2016 papers, 2017 also, it was repeated, same idea. The carbon dioxide be reduced is only in the case of what? Of the, like, not humans, okay? Because anaerobic respiration in humans reduces lactic acid. Oxygen is needed, of course, no. Amount of energy released compared to aerobic respiration, of course, it is lower, okay? So basically, you even, like, if you even don't understand the question, just like refer with it. How the amount of energy will be released will be higher? No, it will be lower. No, it will be lower. How carbon dioxide is produced? No, because this is anaerobic respiration in yeast cells. This one is yeast cells, which is completely different from what? From the lactic acid being produced. Now question 20. Which chemical reaction is catalyzed by maltase? By maltase is maltose, producing glucose and glucose. And even if you don't know how the maltose will be, what are the subproducts of maltose, just look into letter number C. Question number 20, letter C is telling you maltose will be broken down into starch. By how? By what way? We know that amylase breaks down starch into maltose. So basically, you cannot reverse maltose into another, not subproduct, but a bigger product, which is a starch. So this is impossible, okay? So the answer is B. Question number 21 is telling you here, table show the composition of blood entering and leaving the kidneys and the liver. Which row is correct? Now the highest concentration of urea in the blood is entering kidneys, and lowest concentration of urea is entering liver. And as we can see now, you can just understand it easily, because urea is a waste product that needs to be excreted if it has a higher concentration. So basically it enters into the kidney where ultrafiltration occurs and it's excreted out of the body, right? It's very simple. You just excrete the urea. Of course, the highest concentration of urea will enter the kidney for ultrafiltration, and the lowest concentration of urea in the blood will be entering the liver. For what purpose? Of course, it will be needed for breakdown and for other purposes. And the last page in this exam paper, as you can see, I have left for you the liver. The liver, the high concentration of urea will be what? it will be entering what? Entering the kidneys. The high concentration of urea will be entering the kidneys via the renal artery. So basically, it is entering the kidneys via the renal artery to be excreted and get excreted. Now, question number 22. A person runs on a hot day is telling you here which statement describes the flow of blood through the arterioles supplying the surface of the skin. Of course, when I am having a person that is flowing, that is running on a hot day, so basically his body has gained a lot of heat from the sun, from like he is sweating and all of that, and my body now need to take an action to return my temperature back to the set point by negative feedback mechanism. So basically vasodilation of the blood vessels will occur, and as you can see here in the diagram I had wrote for you guys, that the blood vessels which are labeled in blue color will have to dilate, they will have to become bigger, so more blood will flow through them, so more heat will be released out of these blood vessels via the blood out to the surroundings. So basically your temperature will decrease and everything will return back to the set point. Question 23. A plant shoot was placed on its side in the dark, and the upper side we have here, and a shoot on the lower side. It's telling you which row shows the expected changes as the shoot grows in these conditions. So basically the side showing increased concentration of oxygen, it will be the lower side, because as you can see it is in the dark. It is in the dark. You cannot actually really decide where it is, the upper side or lower side, because as we know, if the light is facing the plant in one direction, the other direction will be the one that have a high concentration of oxygen. But in this question, the answer, if in this question a plant shoot, it will have higher concentration in the lower side, and increased cell elongation, of course it will be in the lower side as well. Okay, this is a tricky question just for you guys to understand it. Just like leave it here with a star so that you can study it and like just get a knowledge. Maybe it will become in your exam for June 2026. Now question 24. Which row shows the speed of action and duration of effect for the type of control? Now type of control, if it is nervous system, the speed of action will be fast and duration of effect will be short, and this question was repeated in November 2025, variant 2 and variant 1. Okay, so this question is really important for you guys. Now speed of action, of course, type of control, if it is nervous, speed of action will be faster and duration of effect will be short, and this was all about question number 24. Now for question 25, it's telling you here which statement describe an advantage of using sexual reproduction to crop production. Okay, in crop production, so basically all offspring will inherit the desired characteristic, and I want all offspring to inherit the desired characteristic because I don't want variation. Like for example, if I want my crop to produce strawberries with red and yellow tone of color, so basically I don't want any variation. I want all of the strawberry plant to produce red flowers or red fruits, but without any other variation. Okay, so basically letter A is the right option. The sexual reproduction does not have anything to do with germination, because germination relies on suitable temperature, water and oxygen. Okay, so basically it does not have anything to do. There is an increased variation. No, this is sexual reproduction, not asexual. The production of adult plant is slower. Also no. Question number 26. Which hormone is represented by letter X? Well, it is the luteinizing hormone, LH hormone. And as you can see from the graph that I had placed here for you guys, as you can see that the luteinizing hormone in blue color had reached its peak on day what? On day 14. So if you check day 14 here, day 14, the luteinizing hormone has reached its peak. So it is the same diagram as the one provided you in the question of 26. Now question number 27. How will the composition of pregnant women blood changes as it passes through the placenta? Well, the concentration of dissolved oxygen will decrease because the fetus is going to have a like an amount of that oxygen being absorbed in the blood. Okay, so basically the fetus will use more of that oxygen, and the urea of course will increase because the fetus has waste product including the urea that had to be excreted. So basically it will flow out of the fetus body into the pregnant woman's body. Now question 28. The diagram shows some stages of protein synthesis. What is X? Well, X is a length of mRNA. Length of what? Length of mRNA. Why it's not length of DNA? Because this process, which is in question 28, it involves the ribosomes, it involves the mRNA as a whole. So basically it's a length of mRNA, which is the messenger RNA. Question 29 seems a little bit tricky, but it is very easy. It's telling you here a cell divided by mitosis once every 3 hours and 24 minutes. How long it will take to produce 8 new cells from this original cell. So basically it will take 612 minutes, and the reason, the way I got it, because 3 times 60, 3 hours times 60 is 180 minutes, and 180 plus 24 is 204 minutes. So basically he's telling you that it produces 8 new cells, and every what? 3 hours and 24 minutes. So basically 3 cycles of these multiply by 204, which is the total time, it will be equal to 612. Now question 30. It's telling you here the allele for short hair in cats is recessive and the allele for long hair in cats is dominant. The pedigree diagram shows the inheritance of hair length in a family of cats. How many cats must be heterozygous for the hair length? So basically the 5 which are heterozygous, I had placed it for you here in a diagram. As you can see, these are the 5. So basically we have the mother here, which is 1, and we have here the 2, and we have here 3, and we have here 4, and we have here 5. So basically we have 5 members which are heterozygous for the hair length. Okay, now moving on to question number 31. Which row shows these factors that contribute to variation? Well, we are talking about now variation. Okay, so variation, of course, it is a gamete formation, random changes in DNA based sequences, like all of the choices are true. You cannot say that one of them are incorrect because they all involve variation. Gamete formation, which is a fertilization, of course. Random changes in DNA based sequences, of course. And for random fertilization and random mating, all of these contribute to different organisms and variations in the organism. Question 32. Different organisms have different adaptive features. For example, the anthers of a wind-pollinated flowering plant have long filaments. Which is true of this adaptive feature? Well, that adaptive feature of long filament, it makes the plant more likely to reproduce, because basically if you have a longer filament, okay, you have a longer reproductive organ, so more adaptive feature can survive for a longer period of time, so you can have a larger ability to reproduce. You're more likely to reproduce, because basically when I say that the filament is not affected by genes, of course it is affected by genes. It gives a plant an advantage in all environment. No, not in all environment. Like for example, if it is rainy, okay, like here I cannot say that, for example, if it is rainy it will survive. No, because it survives upon on wind, not on rain. So basically letter B is incorrect. Letter C, longer filament attract more insects. No, the thing that attract more insects is the color, where I can find this in the insect pollinated flowers, where I can see that the attractive colors will attract the insect, or the flower or the fruit will attract the insect, but not the long filaments. Now in 33, in the nitrogen cycle, bacteria convert ammonia to nitrate ions, which is nitrification, and we have solved this before in November 2025 variant 1 question paper. Now, question number 34 might seem a little bit tricky, but it was repeated actually. He's telling you here a food chain has a pyramid of numbers shown. You have here carnivorous insects, herbivorous insects, and producers. Okay, so the answer here will be A, because basically when I'm saying pyramid of a biomass means the amount of organisms in the environment. Okay, so basically the one that will take the largest and the most abundant space, of course it is the producers, which are the plants, the grass, the insects, for example, and all of these kinds. Okay, now Moving on to the carnivorous insects or herbivorous insects. Okay, so basically herbivorous insects will be a little much fewer compared to the carnivorous, because carnivorous will be much smaller in amount, because you, as you know, that herbivorous insects will eat the grass. Like for example, if I'm having a housefly and a cockroach, okay, so basically a cockroach will eat a housefly very easily. So this is like the idea behind this question, that the carnivorous is always is less and smaller in amounts compared to what, compared to the herbivorous animals. In any way, if it's an insect, not an insect, if it is a cow, if it is a lion, of course lions will be less in amounts compared to zebras in a Greenland or in a forest. So you just need to grasp this idea and you'll be perfect. Now question 35. Which factor could result in the death phase of a sigmoid population growth curve? Now for the sigmoid population growth curve, of course it is increase in predators. If I'm increasing or I am decreasing the amount of like producers, if I'm decreasing them, well, if I'm decreasing the amount of predators in a society now of animals, now as you can see that more animals will have a chance to survive. But if I'm increasing predators, like I am placing more lions, more tigers, more cheetahs in everywhere, so all of the zebras, the buffaloes, the like all of the organisms, the mammals, all of them will be dead very easily, will be dead. But this one will increase my death phase, it will cause it to arise, it will cause it to become true. Okay, so now absence of limiting factor, no. Abundance of food, of course if I'm having more food they will survive, so also no. Now decrease in competition for space, of course no, because this will increase their space, so they will have a larger space, so they will reproduce more, increase their population more, and this will not end. So basically increase in predators is the most suitable choice. Now question 36. What is an effect of untreated sewage on aquatic ecosystems? Well, it increased the growth of producers, and this was in your lesson of eutrophication. Now, what is an effect of untreated sewage on aquatic ecosystem? Well, it is what? It is increased growth of producers. Now, question 37. I told you here the Amur leopard is one of the rarest cats in the world. From 2007 to 2003, the number of Amur leopards increased from 27% to 115%. What is the percentage increase? So in order to calculate the percentage increase, you need to move by this formula: final minus initial over initial multiplied by 100. Okay, so the final is 115 minus 27 over 27 multiplied by 100 is gonna give you this number, 326%. Now it's telling you here in question 38, deforestation can have negative impact on the environment. Well, it leads to the soil loss, so there is less fertile soil for less growth of crops in the area. Question letter A, of course it is incorrect, because how it's gonna decrease levels of carbon dioxide and you have less trees, so less photosynthesis will be carried out, so less carbon dioxide will be absorbed by the trees, so basically A is incorrect. Now it decreases it decreases the amount of water flowing in local rivers, of course no, because less trees will be present to absorb the water, so basically question number 38, letter C will be the most suitable answer. Now for this question number 39. What can be concluded from the data? Basically, the most suitable answer is letter C. Let us read it together. The mean area of new forest planted each year was 1100 to 11,200 kilometer squared. So I had calculated it for you here, guys, in this question for 39, as you can see here. So 6,500 plus 9,000 plus 13,500 plus all of these rest numbers divided by their number, which is 5. So as you can see, here is 1, here is 2, here is 3, here is 4, and here is 5. So divided this all, it will give you 11,200, which is the answer in letter 30 in question number 39, which is letter C. Now, what is the function of an enzyme used in genetic modification? So of course it is a DNA ligase. It inserts the human DNA into the bacterial plasmid DNA, and it ensures that these together are linked. These together are what are linked, and they can be inserted into the bacterial cell for more replication and to increase the number and increase the amount of the product you are producing. Like for example, if you are producing a human insulin, well, it will increases the production of human insulin. Okay, and that was all about the February-March 2026 paper 2 variant 2. And I hope you had interested and I hope you had benefited from such an explanation, and see you in the next video.